Welcome to the Fantasy Goons podcast, part of the Pucks Out family. It's time to skip the book and find out the info you need to win your league with Bobby, Davey, and Brandon.
Welcome into the Fantasy Goons. I'm Bobby, he's Davey, and he's Brandon.
Hello.
You can find us on social media at the Fantasy Goons. Now let's get you the info you need to be a champ. How are you guys today?
Stellar. 3 for 4 this week. I'm always 3 for 4, it seems like, but I don't know. It's either 3 for 4 or 0 for 4. I don't think I've done that once yet, though, actually.
Had a rough stretch there for a little bit. I'm looking pretty good in most of my leagues right now, so doing pretty good.
Yet again, the elusive 5-0 on the week is out of my grasp. Another week of 4-1.
There you go.
I am 9-0 in one league, though. Got the win over Brandon this week.
I dominated win. It wasn't even close towards the end. Throughout the week, it was. I guess I had a bunch of postponements, some injuries, nothing I could do. You dominated me. So
yeah, I'm actually looking to see because I forgot to over the week. I just sometimes forget to keep track. I'll get in the morning and I'll make the changes on my roster, but I won't actually look at the matchup to see how close the game is.
Yeah.
So let me check out last.
It's a rough time of year with playoffs and fantasy football happening right now. Things kind of clear up a whole lot. Saves a lot of research time for sure when football is out.
Oh, yeah. Well,
No doubt.
Jacob Trouba on the week had 201 points for me.
Jeez.
He's second in the league in points right now.
Yeah.
So
wow.
he
pretty
killed
dominant week. So I mean, like I said, I got smacked around pretty good.
Yeah.
Nothing I could have done.
But all right, guys, we got a little bit of news. A lot of teams hit by COVID. The like we said in the main show, or like we're going to say in the main show, I forget now that the show releases before it. The Jenga tower is starting to fall. It looks like. I mean, just everywhere you look, not just in the NHL, in the NBA, in the NFL, even in the NBL, in the Australian Basketball League. I mean, now that I'm a degenerate and even more in gambling on that, I get news reports for that. They're having some COVID issues, so it's just I would not be surprised if in the next month and a half, we're seeing a lot more and possibly go into a bubble situation for the NHL.
They should definitely bubble the playoffs.
It probably is going to happen. It just feels like it. There's just too much happening. I don't know. It's so frustrating. I'm sure everybody's frustrated to seeing all the postponements on their roster right now. But yeah, you got to battle through it.
I definitely think this is a big hit to the chances of the Olympic.
Yes,
players going to the Olympics when they said that they would have to quarantine for 2.5 weeks when they come back from the Olympic Village.
Not happening. I don't see it. I don't see it happening either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But all right, guys, let's jump straight into weekly impressions. The Preds are starting to look a little bit legit. They swept that road trip. The last game against the Rangers wasn't great for fantasy unless you had Saros. But they are. I mean, they're. The guys that are not heavily rostered are looking good, and the guys that if you have Preds players, you probably have a small select few: Ryan Johansson, Matt Duchene, Philip Forsberg. Probably there are not many other names on that are you going to be heavily rostered, and those guys are performing.
Zach home probably a little bit. Yossi, Saros. But not many, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Not that immediately stick out in my head. That's not a kind of a niche player.
Yeah, and I think we are also seeing along with those guys that some of these formerly niche players are going to start. I mean, these are what we're seeing is the future of the Preds come out, and we might, in 3 years, Tanner Jeannot might be a household name. Where it's kind of like Tom Wilson, where he is a tough guy who can get goals. He reminds me that Tanner Jeannot has the same play style and the same physicality of as a guy like Tom Wilson, who is a asset on fantasy teams.
Wow.
So if you're in a dynasty league and Tanner Jeannot's there and you have the spot to stash him, and depending on what your team looks like, if you are maybe not, if obviously if you got the big guys, don't drop him. But if you're like, man, I've got a guy here. I mean, Tanner Jeannot might be worth a look in super deep dynasty leagues.
I mean, if he's
maybe Philip Tomasino.
Owned, I mean, depending on how deep the fantasy league is, I would imagine this guy's already owned.
Maybe. A lot of these guys get overlooked in leagues, man.
Well, a lot of these Preds, these younger guys are overlooked, and even a guy that you're talking about later, Tolvanen and Tomasino, who you brought up briefly. I mean, I feel like Tomasino.
That's in regular leagues, though. We're not talking about dynasty leagues where all that.
We got listeners from all over. I like to, give them a little something every once in a while. Give them a little bit of love.
We're seeing that next wave of Predators instead of that stale group of guys who've been together for the last 5-6 years, whatever it is, even longer. Some of them, I feel like we're finally hitting that next wave, and they're actually. It's like a quick rebuild.
And,
almost,
and I will say that if you had if you had told me even 2 weeks ago that the Preds will be competing for a playoff spot, I'd be like, not really. But honestly, they look good, and what that means is that these players are gonna start pushing and pushing harder because, while it may seem outrageous, once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. So these players are going to try and get in, they're starting to get in midseason shape and they want to be ready for the playoffs and they're going to push. And these younger guys want to earn a spot. So I like, if there's some Preds players out there, I would try and snag them. To piggyback off that, another team that it was only 2 weeks ago that I would have said, fire sale these guys. The Canucks are currently 4-0 under Bruce Boudreau. Thatcher Demko is relevant again as a goaltender in this league. I mean, I was about to drop him off my team, and he is now starting tonight for me, and I am confident in that start. This is a completely different team. Bruce Boudreau has proven that, listen, I've talked shit about the NHL head coaching carousel, but Bruce Boudreau is a solid coach, and I think that he was the right medicine for the Canucks.
Well, he was one of those that never really did anything wrong. Minnesota, right. I mean, other than just not be an elite team. They never lost hockey. They were never
and he was in a tough division.
It was. And they were still young. The guys that are starting to see now are growing up and becoming better players. It was a little tougher.
Well, and it's a lot like, it seems like he's getting the most out of what we thought Vancouver could be.
Yeah.
Mine, returns of Malkin and, Crosby within the last little bit. Penguins moving up the standings, kind of looking like the Penguins that we thought that they were. Keeping that in mind for exactly what we talk about every year. When we talk about the Oilers, when we talk about the Penguins, it's who's playing with Malkin, who's playing with Crosby right now. Making sure we're paying attention there. Going and snagging up those guys before your league mates do, and get you a couple of free points for the flavor of the week in one of those two places.
Yeah. For me, it's Ben Bishop and Anton Khudobin, Dallas Stars goaltenders. What a week for Dallas Stars fans and everybody. I mean, the NHL fans in general. Just Ben Bishop obviously cannot play anymore. I'm sure you might have touched on it in the main show, and that's tough. I mean, watching his interview, crying, it hit. He's only been there a short amount of time, but
I think we were saying, was it 2017? You guys got him from the Kings.
Yeah, he only played 2.5 years, actually played. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of rough. But and then obviously Anton Khudobin cleared waivers today and is now playing in the AHL. So
he cleared. Yeah, there was some rumors that the Preds were looking at him.
So my theory here is, well, not even a theory, but my thoughts is everybody go get Braden Holtby and Jake Ottinger right now, because you have to. Jake Ottinger's probably going to start a lot of games right now. Holtby's they're going to swap, and Ottinger's playing good hocky right now. So go grab them if they're available.
Holtby's playing pretty.
If you remember in the preseason, I asked, and I had thought that I liked Jake Ottinger in the preseason. I was like, Same. Honestly, I could see Jake Ottinger as the future goaltender for that team.
And he is.
But at the time, there was 20 goaltenders on that team, so who knew what was going to happen?
And they were all old, though. Holtby and Bishop and Khudobin are all older guys, and Bishop's 35. I mean, we didn't even think about that. But because, we're so used to Bishop, being this star goalie when he played for, Tampa, and, it's just, I don't know. Yeah. It's weird. But yeah, Dallas Stars' new goaltender situation is looking pretty final for the remainder of the year.
Let's move on over to pickups for this week. Ellie Tolvanen has been on fire, dude. Left wing, right wing eligibility for the Preds, 25% rostered, goal in 4 of his last 5 after only getting 1 through his last 23. He's sporting a 6.8 shooting percentage, and that will most certainly rise as much as he's been how he's going. And guys, I've got a Christmas bonus pickup for you. Pius Suter, center left wing eligibility out of Detroit, 4% rostered. Over his last 5 games, he has gotten 2 points on the power play and is now on the top unit. And he's just been moved up there, and he's gotten a point in 7 out of the last 8 games and gotten more than 18 minutes or more in the last 3. Detroit is in this really, really weird phase of their rebuild. They are on fire, then now they're not. But what we're going to see there is these young guys push hard to try and make a statement and move up. And this is one of those guys where, he's not going to light the score. He's not going to light the net every night. He's more for deeper leagues. Right now, a lot of us are having injury issues. We're having COVID issues. This is a guy who you can plug and play sometimes. You can probably drop him and pick him up a couple times, and other teams might not snag him. But he's, listen, top power play is still top power play at the end of the week. And you have a higher chance of getting that, especially in cat leagues. I like Pius Suter out of Detroit. Brandon, what do you got?
Going up to Philly, which, you'll be super happy with. Bobby, you're a super big Philly fan.
Playoffs,
Davey,
baby.
Not so much. Scott Lawton got a little promotion playing on the top line with Konechny and Couturier. Wow, exactly. Can I even say it? Center left wing, only 4% rostered. Last month, 3 goals, 2 assists, 16 shots on goal, some 44 face-off wins, 29 hits, and 9 blocks. So you're going to get a little bit of a variety of the score sheet covered up there. Dual positional eligibility. Again, getting the time on ice that what we talk about, especially in categories leagues, which you need to build up.
Yeah.
Those little leads.
Can't get stats if you're not on the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. So just scored against Arizona. Don't know if they even count those goals anymore.
Hey,
but,
they won 2 games in a row, baby.
If they do.
The comeback season starts now for Philly.
Well, if they count them, then he got a goal.
There you go.
Them. So what do you got, Davey?
Well, this was tough this week because obviously next week is a limited week. There's a few games. I think Wednesday's the last day we decided.
Two games. Two games for
primarily all the teams
for Lawton. That was another reason I chose a Philly player.
Yeah, so I went with Max Domi, who I traditionally wasn't going to go with, but he's 9% rostered, 6 goals, 8 assists. 2 games against Buffalo next week. So to me, it seems like a good opportunity to get on the board for him, even though he's not playing his best hockey this year. He's starting to get a little bit more ads now. So he's a guy that I'm looking at. He's got center left wing capability. And then I threw a bonus in there for Tim Stetzla. He's starting to turn the corner. I know he plays for Ottawa, he's minus 11, but he does have 3 goals and 10 assists. So if you don't have plus minus in your league, he also has 7 power play points. So this is a good ad if you don't have plus minus.
We talked a little bit about him in the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
I liked him a lot in the preseason.
I had drafted him, and then
I wanted to draft him, but it never really worked out for me.
Yeah.
Let's talk streams. The Dallas Stars. They have 3 games against divisional opponents in a tough Central Division. They're going to be fighting hard. They want to try to go into this Christmas break with these 6 points. I think that I think in this division, if they want to be competitive, they need to go into this Christmas break with getting at least 4 out of 6.
Yeah,
maybe 5 out of 6. Because if you start dropping these games in this division, you're quickly going to find yourself competing with Chicago and the like. So yeah, I like the Stars. I think they're gonna reach down deep and they're gonna try and get these 6 points. And I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with 5 points.
It's a tough division right now. It's hard to watch, or it's fun to watch. I mean, because it's just so many teams that actually are great hockey teams. I mean, you think Dallas is going to pull ahead of Winnipeg and maybe even Colorado at some point?
I don't think Colorado.
Colorado's hot right now.
I think we talked about it in the main show. I think that Colorado, I stick by my original projection that they're going to win the division.
Okay.
I think they're going to start chipping away at this lead at Minnesota. I think that Dallas, I think now with the way the Preds are playing, it used to be, all right, we know who the top 2 teams in the division are going to be, but now I think we know who the top 3 teams are, which means some of these teams have to start. That leaves one spot left, really. I mean, depending on what the Pacific does with for a wild card.
I'm thinking Minnesota, Colorado, Nashville is how it goes. At this
and then
point.
I think it's going to be between Winnipeg and Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Chicago has what it takes.
No.
This year, and so I think.
I mean, Arizona could come back, but
but so I think Dallas is gonna have to get something going, and I think it starts now.
Yeah, for sure.
Davey, what do you got?
I'm running Anaheim. Love Anaheim. This is a fun team to watch.
I wanted that team for sure.
Who's left is Anaheim and Oilers. Between those two teams were like the teams this week after Bob took Stars. I thought were the next two, and I mean they've been playing good hockey. There's still some solid options available to stream as well. Here's a goalie that I just grabbed who absolutely just demolished it for me. Got a shutout last week. Stallars. I mean he's 5-2 with a 2.26. Goals against average. He's the backup right now, but solid numbers. If he continues to get these, he's gonna be doing some swapping with Gibson. Gibson just got hurt, I believe, so I'm not sure if it's serious or not. I don't know. I think he's day to day. I don't know if it's serious yet. He might be. If it is, here's a guy to get. I think he's only 24% rostered. Yeah, 24% rostered. He has 2 shutouts on the season. There's also Sonny Milano, 33% rostered, 8 goals, 12 assists. You got Ryan Getzlaf, 49% rostered, not 20 points this season, 43 hits, 24 blocks, and 278 faceoff wins. So Getzlaf is back now he was hurt for a couple games there. So there's some players there on Anaheim that are still available, and they're a hot team. So go get them.
I'm streaming the Oilers this week. 3 games that you can have. And actually, you know what I'm going to actually do? I'm actually going to switch something here. There's not many teams with 3 games. I feel like this will fit better. My stream of the week is actually going to be the Jets, and I'll tell you why that is. There's lots of teams with 2 games. You guys got covered up most of the other 3-game weeks, which is, again, the most important, obviously. But the Jets are my stream of the week, and the reason for that is because they have Tuesday and Wednesday games, which is right before Thursday, right before that break starts. So you can kind of see what you're going to need on that Thursday, making them a really good streaming candidate so you can stream them in and then stream them immediately out to try to get in some new blood there.
Smart.
It is tactical.
Get 2 games. Very tactical, depending on. Now, some of your leagues may expand this week's game. Some of them may not. So just kind of check into that. But a very tactical move you can make.
To second that point too, is
push it.
To be tactical this week is going to be important because of the few games. So get the teams that are playing, and you might win. You'll probably win your week because a lot of your guys are. A lot of people's other teams are guys they can't get rid of, and so go get some guys. You can win.
You
this
have
week.
a garbage team. You can really do some damage.
You really could, yeah. So
I really wish hockey did what a baseball did sometimes and have double headers, like legit double headers.
I mean,
that would be insane for fantasy.
It would suck for the players, but
I don't care about that.
Screw them.
Yeah,
they don't get paid enough. Come on.
Yeah. Perform for me. All right, let's move into tailing and fading. Tailing Vegas, 2 good home game against high-scoring teams. This should be exciting. Tampa and LA. So these are going to be high-scoring games. Yeah, it's only 2 games, but I could see 7 goals being scored in both these games. And I think Vegas
goes 0-2.
Oh, 0-2. Wow.
No, throwing it out there.
I was going to say they split 1-1. I was going to say they beat.
You're going 2-0 over here, aren't you?
No, 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah. Okay. I think they actually beat Vegas. I think they actually beat the Lightning. Drop on the LA.
Lose to LA. Yeah.
I think it's the opposite.
Yeah. Parody.
I like it.
But yeah, so I like Vegas this week as far as tailing those players. I think that it's going to be some high-scoring events, and it's going to be fun hockey to watch before going into the break.
No doubt. I'm tailing the Colorado Avalanche. Seems like maybe an obvious answer here. They're off to a great start in December, winning 5 of 7, 3 games this week. Detroit, Buffalo, Boston. Should see some good games here. They also have the most goals in the NHL this season, so that is huge in terms of picking guys up. JT Compher's back, so he's a guy to maybe look at. Avalanche is a good tailing team right here. Go grab some players if you can. Nichushkin, like we talked about last week, I think Bob brought him up last week. There's another player there, but go Colorado Avalanche.
Landeskog is out for 2 weeks.
Logan O'Connor.
Yeah, O'Connor.
O'Connor's is probably a good fill-in there for Landeskog. Great choice. That was obviously one of the ones that I was looking at as well. The one I was going to do for my stream, but we kind of switched that up, is the Oilers. 3 games, one of the few this week. Some good back-to-back games right there before the end that you can get in that Wednesday and Thursday. Ducks, Kings, Sharks, a good schedule of good teams may present some high-scoring affairs, making it a good opportunity for whatever pairings that you can snag on the Draisaitl's or McDavid lines, giving you a good opportunity to get a little points.
I like it. Why don't you take us right into who you're fading?
Yeah, I'm fading the Maple Leafs, not playing bad hockey, anything like that. Mostly one game this week against a Blues team, and that game doesn't come early on in the week. It comes on that Thursday. So, I mean, one bad game from a guy could lock up an entire week. And so I'm going to go with the Maple Leafs for that reason. I mean, the amount of games is very important in my mind, and so one game is a tough hurdle to get over.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. This is why I went with the Rangers. There's only one game next week against Montreal, which we'll see. They
may score more.
They might go off.
Teams with 3, yeah, exactly.
But I do feel like Rangers. There's not very many options out there that aren't already grabbed, which is tough. But it is a tough division as well. I think Rangers are gonna go cold after this little break that they have here. I think they're gonna lose some games. That's what I think. I know it's a bold thing to say because they're a great team this year, but I think this is gonna negatively impact the Rangers.
I'm hot on them.
Me too. But
I usually go and throw $5 on a team that I randomly say I'm hot on in the podcast. Maybe I'll go do it. I'll see what the odds are though, because I'll only do it for some good value.
Yeah, fair.
So we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Bob, get us out of here.
Yeah.
What are we doing, man?
The Calgary Flames, too much uncertainty. There's a chance they play 0 games before the break.
Mangiapane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right?
Yeah. So, that's about it, guys. We'll see you next week for our Christmas episode, and we're going to figure out something because there's not going to be a lot of games next week. I guess we'll be talking about the week after Christmas. Next week, so we'll see. I don't even know what the schedule looks like the week after Christmas.
Well, if we do, I don't know if we are recording next week, and there's not a lot of games. Maybe we do. Maybe we find out some folks who've had some of the greatest fantasy seasons ever in history.
Yeah, I think I could pull up some of my seasons recently. Yeah.
Not you specifically. I mean, yeah, maybe you, but I'm more talking about Gretzky's 80-some.
Oh, I thought you talked about like players, like fantasy players.
We absolutely can.
I was like, are we gonna just like?
No, we're not gonna spotlight some dude that sits on his couch. Like
that's what I thought you were talking about.
I'm talking about the time that Gretzky scored like 80 some odd goals.
This episode is about Gary.
200 some points.
Was fantasy a thing back in those days?
That's what I'm saying.
I think in like the early 90s, like 80s, like dudes in garages used to like keep track of it.
I think football started happening, but back in the day, football used to be touchdowns only. That was all that mattered.
Oh, wow.
Was touchdowns.
Now you got every time a guy touches a guy on the line.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah. I mean, lots of job opportunities there, but I'm going to leave them alone. Bobby, get us out of here, man. What are you doing? You've allowed this.
This has been the Fantasy Goons podcast. Brought to you
it was
by
a sanctioned discussion.
Farms. Listen to the boys every week and join in on the conversation on the 3 majors of social media.